Hey everybody, this is Chris back in the studio. I have my mom here with me. My mom has been a student here, so I thought it'd be a fun thing to interview her and talk about her experience working in clay, coming from teaching kindergarten. Tell me what you think about clay and the clay studio.
Well, when I retired, I thought, what am I going to do with myself? I had a free day and Chris had a class, so I thought I would enroll. I felt like a real failure in the beginning because other people were doing better than I was, and I was a speed demon, so I didn't take my time. And after all this time taking it, I feel like I've made such progress. I feel like it's been like soothing to work with it. I feel like nobody has judged me. I've gone at my own pace. It's just a nice group of people and a nice activity to just relax with.
I love that. So you feel like when you came in, you were intimidated by the people around you or the creative process, or what do you think it was?
There were all different levels in the group, which was good. But I always kind of was looking at what everybody else was doing, and Chris kind of encouraged me to take it slow and to look at where I started and where I was going as opposed to comparing myself, and it just made such sense, and then I started to feel a lot more comfortable with it.
Do you think that you are feeling more comfortable with the material? What do you think has changed?
You know, I have like my motor running all the time, so I'm like in a hurry to get through things. You have instilled in me, take a breath, slow down, take your time. I feel less intimidated because nobody's judging me. Everybody's very supportive. I feel like it's just a nice setting to do your own thing and not worry about what everybody else thinks. I never had worked with clay. I was a little awkward. I learned slowly. So when Chris was, teaching, he was on to something else and I was still back at the beginning. But that kind of evened itself out once we got into it and I kind of understood the procedures and how you taught.
Well, first I have a question about myself. Do you think that I was always slow and mindful with the things that I did throughout my life?
Oh my gosh. No, I think the clay and other things in your life have really influenced you to take a step back, and that's kind of what you did for me. You kind of got me to the point where I wasn't in such a rush.
I kind of look at it as like a metaphor for life. If we all just slow down a little bit in everything that we do, that we would probably do a little bit better of a job. But why do you think with clay in particular, it's important to move slowly?
Because if you look at my first things, they were like haphazardly done, and there were so many flaws, there were so many things I needed to work on. Because I felt like there was a time limit and I had to go so that I could keep up. For me, it was like, or learn the steps and then take a step back and start over with the steps, not feel like I had to go where you were going. I'd watch you do it, but I'd have to take more time than maybe somebody sitting next to me.
Do you think that your experience teaching has influenced the way that you learn at all?
Well, I think there's so many learning styles, and I learned that teaching kindergarten, that for me, I have to do it over and over and over again. And the person next to me might not necessarily have to. I felt like yours and my teaching style is so similar. You're step by step by step. You use examples that make sense to me, and I have to see you do it. I can't just hear what you're saying and pick up on it. So the teaching method here, it was right geared to me.
Being raised by you, I would say you're a very tactile person. You were always moving furniture, painting a wall, or cutting out 700 handprints for a tree of hands in your kindergarten class. Do you think of yourself as a tactile person?
I think so. I think I'm a very hands-on. I have to do it with you. I can't watch you do it. You stop and I come over here and I'm automatically able to do it.
If you were to give advice to either yourself coming into clay or the sort of YouTube audience, what advice would you give to yourself coming into the studio for the first time?
I'd say it's so rewarding because you can't really make a mistake that you can't go back and fix. And the things that you make, if you can get over the first thing being perfect and the second thing being perfect, and you can realize that it's a process, that's when it kind of, for me, went, I don't have to be good at every pot I do, and I don't have to have everything turn out. It'll come, it just takes time.
I think that's an interesting idea. Failure is part of the learning process, right? So whether that's something collapsing or whether that's our pot not looking maybe so elegant, that's a reflection of this timeline of learning. It's not a reflection of you. I've made thousands of bad pots, but those things aren't what define me, and the good pots really aren't the thing that define me either. The thing that defines me is the resilience to keep going and to show up.
And that was my hardest thing, because I'm really hard on myself and I really don't give myself credit. You've kind of gotten me to the point, and the other people in the class who are so supportive, oh, that's really good. You really improved. It made me see that I was being super critical and I was comparing myself to like your stuff.
Because there's no instant gratification and you're getting that over time, you look at other things and say, I can relate this back to this learning process.
I really do. I think that I'm hard on myself in everything. This class has showed me that I can, not be in such a rush to get everything finished and instead concentrate on the process. My big fear, well, I've seen Chris in action because Chris actually worked at the school where I worked, and I got to see him with kids. And it was just such a great experience. So when I came here, my biggest fear was I tend to blurt out things. And so I was really nervous that I was going to embarrass Chris. I was also kind of nervous about how he would view me as a student. Would he be able to correct me? And I can say for sure, he has no problem telling me what I'm doing wrong and what I'm doing right. He's just been a great teacher, and I am so happy to be his mom.
Well, I'm so appreciative, I don't know if we want to put this on camera, but I was a very challenging adolescent. And so I sort of made a pact with myself that anything I could do to pay back my mom for when my frontal lobe was not fully formed, and the nights where she was waiting for me on the steps, to come home at 2 a.m. or whatever it might be. I sort of said that I would always say yes. So when she said that she wanted to take a class here, I was immediately going to say yes, but I was also very nervous about how that would affect, my classroom dynamic. And I think that it's an endearing.
We've entertained a few classes with our antics.
I would say that's probably true.
You ever cut class just to stick it to them after all these years?
Never. I love coming here because it's just a nice, restful, fun place to be. And I enjoy so much watching Chris in action and being so much a part of his life, because there were times where, I was ready to put him up for adoption, but luckily I kept him.
It takes a community to get this done. This world of like smartphones and social media and all of that stuff, like your hands are covered in clay, you're not on your phone, you're engaging with other people, you are, part of this thing. Well, thanks for coming to the studio. So I put my mom on the spot and I asked her to help me, with more personal interaction on the channel. Probably the last thing that she ever wants to do, but you can see how much she loves me because she's here.
He caught me in a weak moment.
I might have duped her a little bit to get her here. You're natural on camera. I mean, I think that you're. I don't think I was. I don't think I did not sit down in the first time. So thanks for coming. I love you. I really appreciate it.
You too.